Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Fit Lawyer Pod. I am your host, Fit Lawyer Julia, and today we're just going to be doing a solo episode. I may pop off and be out of pocket a little, but yeah. So today's solo episode, I kind of just wanted to talk about my dating adventures of 2024. The close friends on Instagram already know what I'm talking about, but it has been, I guess, it's just been such a good experience sharing my 2024 dating adventures on Instagram with a close friend that I wanted to do a whole episode on it. So the close friends, I literally call it my girls and gays. So if you thought we was cool when you're not in close friends, that's why. It's it's literally girls and gays. So only people who like penis, I guess. Um, and yeah, it's just been really conversational and very supportive. And there's some girls that I invested in my dating life now. Now I feel like I can't let them down. I gotta keep going. But and they've also I've also had so many girls open up to me about their current dating life, their current boy situation, or brought up instances of, or married girls have brought up instances of their past dating life or what it was like dating their now husband. And it's just been very conversational. And and I always say I'm unqualified, right? This is me showing my left hand with no ring on the ring finger. But I always am unqualified, but girls still really like asking for my opinions, I guess. And so, I have been dating kind of on and off since I got done with my shows. And my last show was in September of 23. And then it was then I went to Florida, and then it was a holiday. So yeah, I went on a few dates here and there, but I didn't start, I guess, quote unquote, active dating until this year. And it has been an adventure. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an adventure indeed. And I will say that most of them were good experiences. Of course, as of the recording of this, and probably by the time you're hearing this, none of them have come to fruition, and that is okay. I think going on dates, especially the first few dates, is really just kind of getting to know the person, see if your guys' personality is going to mesh well. And then I know, at least for me and most females, it's also about how safe do I feel with this man? Both in terms of your physical safety as well as being safe to be vulnerable with them. So yeah, active dating, it's very time consuming. And the only app I use is Hinge, because I feel like I went on one Bumble date last year and that was absolute the worst date. So yeah, that just ruins it for the entire app. So if you're looking to swipe right on me, I'm not going to be on Bumble, fellas. I did try Coffee Meets Bagel, but that just had too many advertisements or something. And I didn't really like the user interface, so I deleted that. And I have used Tinder the past, but not in the past few years, when Tinder first came out, I guess. So yeah, so I guess I'm just just on Hinge. I have heard of girls being on the lead as well. I guess that's um, supposed to be a little bit, I don't know, fancier, or people who are a little bit more established, I guess. My friends met quite a few doctors on there, but I've met doctors on Hinge too. Like, I guess I also like Hinge because, one, I think it's very interface user friendly. Um, but two, I don't know, maybe I'm also just familiar with it because that's what I use. Um, I guess that's just what I'm used to. Um, and and like I I have gone out on dates in the past from like dudes at the gym or dudes from my DMs or whatever. But if we're speaking just 2022, I think they've been 95% Hinge dates, and then I met a guy on December 30th, which is technically last year, but I got a little too drunk to really like remember too much. But yeah, so then we didn't start hanging out till January of this year. And then I also met a guy at Super Bowl Sunday, and we went out on a date and talked for a little bit, but ultimately nothing came from that either. And that's fine. You know, like I said, whether it's somebody I met in person or someone like I'm meeting for the first time from an app, like my intentions for the first date is very just like get to know them in person, see if I'm physically attracted to them in person. And that like physical attraction is not just like, is he pleasing to the eye? You know, like, is the conversation good? Like, are his manners good? Um, is he like intellectual? Like, what does he care about? Like, attraction, like, yes, obviously the first thing is visual, right? But honestly, there's so many layers to attraction. And I don't know if that's just a girl thing, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I, so quick, quick tangent story. I was talking to one of my guy lawyer friends, so someone I went to law school with. He's an attorney, and I don't even know how the conversation started, but we were talking about dating. And he was like, oh, yeah, you know, I was talking to this girl for 6, 7 months, and she's really attractive, you know, like totally my type. And things were like, there weren't any issues. Like, he couldn't pinpoint any issues, but he would just like, and then he goes, I don't know. I just found myself less and less attracted to her. And I was like, huh. I was like, what, like, does she get fat? Like, that's like the most obvious visual thing, right? Like, and also relationship weight is a thing. So I'm not just shitting on people. Like, relationship weight is a thing, and that's totally fine. I call it a happy weight. Um, I was like, you know, did she gain weight? Like, you know, like what happened? You know, like if you lost attraction to her. And he was like, I don't know, Julia. Like, I just can't pinpoint it. Like, I just found myself wanting to like hang out with her less, talk to her less. Like I was like, oh, Stu is a little dumb, huh? And then it was like a light bulb in his head. He was like, and I think he's such a nice guy. I don't think he wanted to be like, oh, because she was dumb. But but when I said it, it was literally like a light bulb went off in his head. Like, he's a super smart guy, right? Like, he's an attorney. He has his own law practice, and he also like lectures too. I can't remember where, but yeah, he also lectures too. So he's a very intellectual guy. So I think at some point, like after being like, oh my gosh, she's so hot, it was like they didn't really have common conversation, you know? Like, I can't remember what she did, but it's like he can't really be like, oh, you know, today at work, whatever, or you know, kind of just be able to have a deeper intellectual conversation with her. And that's not to say like every spouse or every partner comes home and talks to their partner about work and stuff, but it's such a big part of our lives that I feel like it's almost inevitable, um, because like in my relationships, yeah, like we'll talk about work or not my relationships, but like when I'm dating someone, when I'm talking to someone, like yeah, we'll talk about our day, we'll talk about some very surface level stuff, whether hobbies, like interests, but at least for me, like we need to be able to have some deeper conversations and just, family background, trauma, and have that emotional connection as well. But like, he's also got to be smart. Like, what I always tell girls is like, if he can't stimulate my mind, then I don't really want him stimulating my body. Like, is he gonna do a good job? We don't know. We don't know. So like, I just genuinely think it's really important to be on the same intellectual wavelength, and I think that's different. The education level, like, please don't take that like I'm throwing shade. I know education is a privilege and I've been privileged enough to go to school. I don't think education equivalates intellect, because let me tell y'all, there's still some dumbass lawyers, there's still some dumbass doctors, and there are some very, very smart people who have not gone to college for whatever reason. I mean, technically, Elon doesn't even have his bachelor's degree, okay? But nobody's going to question his intellect, right? So when I say on the same intellectual wavelength, like that's just how the two people decide. I'm not here to decide who are intellectually compatible, but I'm saying that is a factor. Um, yeah, so don't come at me. And like, other than that, like before I meet someone for a first date, like yes, I like some people would say I'm a hard ass or whatever, but it's like I I personally just don't want to go on a coffee date or a walking date. It seems really superficial and very low effort. I know there are some girls who don't mind a coffee date, who don't mind a walking date. To each their own. I personally will not go on a coffee date or walking date. And after that horrific Bumble date, I will not go on a date where a man will not come pick me up or send me an Uber. And yes, that has happened. Um, Once this year, once last year, uh, where the man sent me an Uber to pick me up from my place and drop me off at the restaurant to meet him, and then sent me an Uber after dinner. So that is definitely a thing. So yes, I set my boundaries, but I always try to be like really respectful of it, right? Like if somebody offers me a coffee date, I just kind of let them know I really only drink coffee in the mornings because I'm caffeine sensitive, and like I don't really want to meet them at like 9, 10 o'clock, like I don't think anybody really wants to do that. So that eliminates like the coffee date thing. I'm just like, hey, like I'm caffeine sensitive. Well, they'll usually be like, hey, let's grab a coffee one afternoon. And I'm kind of like, oh, like I'm pretty caffeine sensitive. Like I really only drink 1 cup in the mornings. And like, so, but I would love to meet you. Like, are there any other options? And then I send a cute emoji. Like I am such an emoji sender. Like I'll send all the emojis. Well, not all the emojis, but I send a lot of emojis. Um, because I think that's also kind of just who I am. Like I'm very expressive in person too. So I need that to come across in text. Like you could put LOL, but I mean, how cute is the little like hand over face or hand over mouth, like giggling emoji? I send that one all the time. But to my friends, like on Instagram or whatever, I'll send the laugh cry emoji. But when I'm on Hinge, or when I'm talking to a guy, I send the hand over mouth laughing emoji, like, like I'm so cute, I'm giggling. Or at least, that's the idea I'm trying to send. And then if they ask me to go to like happy hour, then I let them know I don't really drink like that. And then if they ask why, first of all, then I get annoyed because it makes me feel like alcohol is a big part of their life and it's not a big part of mine. And we already have lifestyle differences. So then I just let them know. I was like, oh, I actually compete in bodybuilding. So it's just not very conducive to my bodybuilding. Like I only really drink on special occasions, like holidays and stuff. And so that eliminates like a happy hour date. So for the most part, like 95 of them, 95% of the dates will be like a nice dinner date, something decent. Although one guy did take me to paint pottery. So I'm gonna put you fellas on game right now, okay? I don't do this very often. Oh, excuse me. Oh, let me get a drink of water. So this is for all my SD fellas. There is a place in Liberty Station called Hotspot where you can go paint pottery, make your own candle. And there's kids there, but I personally thought it was a really cute spot because you can make your own candle, you can paint pottery. There's also other little things you can make. We did the pottery painting. So my date painted like a little house thingy where you could put a candle inside and then like the little house will light up. I painted a little owl bowl. It's super cute. I will, I guess, put a little clip of it here. But it is so cute. And it was in Liberty Station. We just painted our little pottery and chatted. And the conversation was really well. And then so he was like, oh, hey, like, I don't know if you're hungry. We could also go get sushi. So then we went and got sushi afterwards. And then like a couple days later, because they have to put the pottery in the kiln. And so, you get a little slip and then you could go home, go back a few days later, and pick it up. And it was super cute. It was the first time a guy took me pottery painting and we went and got sushi, and the conversation, was really good. And I was actually and I knew that he was going to go out of state for work for a week. But he's still in the US. So I was just really surprised when I didn't hear from him all week. And like, that's fine. Like, it was a little sad, but like, that's totally fine, like, so then just on pottery pickup day, I went and picked up my bowl and I sent him a, picture of the receipt and was just like, hey, like, I hope your work trip is going well. Like, I haven't heard from you, so I assume you didn't want to talk to me anymore, but I came and picked up my bowl. Here's a picture of the receipt so you can come pick up your house. Like, thank you, for a fun date and, take care. Normally, like if they don't text me after the first date, then they don't text me after the first date, right? Like that's like, I think that's very clear what that means. So yeah. And then I also have a rule that if I've met you in person, I'm not going to ghost you. So if he doesn't text me, then that's fine. That's a done deal. But if he does text me and I wasn't really feeling it and he wants to like see me again or go out again, then I kind of just politely let him know like, hey, I had a good time on our date. Thank you so much for, whatever dinner we had. But I don't think, we're really compatible. I don't really think we're looking for the same thing. But I wish you well and take care. Like I would never just not respond to someone after I'd met them in person. Obviously, if we're just talking on Hinge and the conversation dies out, the conversation dies out. Like that's whatever. But If I met you in person, then I'm not gonna ghost you. But if you ghost me, don't like expect me to be there when you zombie yourself, when you try to zombie yourself back into my life. Like, no zombies allowed. That's what I call dudes who ghost and then try to come back. Like, hey, work has been so crazy. Oh my God, life has been so crazy. Oh my gosh, I was thinking about you. No, if you ghost me, stay a fucking ghost. Do not come back and try to zombie your way back into my life. That's not gonna motherfucking happen. It's just not. Anyways, so yeah, so dinner dates, and usually they pick me up, and um, they make the reservation and stuff. Because I've also had girls ask, like, oh, like, how do you get them to pick you up? Because sometimes they'll just be like, oh, I'll see you there at 7 o'clock or whatever. And I said, oh, well, like, if they already text the assumption that we're gonna meet there, then I'm kind of just like, oh, I was hoping you can pick me up. I'm in University Heights, but we can meet there. We can just meet there as well if you prefer. And honestly, other than that one Bumble guy, every single one has picked me up. 80% of them will like come out and open my door, and close friends already know the A plus guys will already be outside their car door when I walk out to meet them to get in their car. And it just makes such a big difference. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but I just think it makes such a big difference, especially for the first dates. Like, whether a guy is going to come out of his car and get your door, or whether he's already like outside of his car waiting for you. And even better yet is when he comes with flowers. And yes, that has happened. I have gotten first date flowers more than once, if I could say so myself. And yeah, and it's just nice. Like, it just immediately makes me feel all warm and bubbly inside, and like, it's just nice, and it's a very pleasant feeling. And honestly, it's a great way. Honestly, you waiting outside your car for the girls doesn't cost you anything, but it does make a world's difference. We want to see you, fellas. Like, when we go meet you for the first time, we want to see you ASAP. So be outside that car so we can check you out. Come on now. Um, yeah. Um, and okay, so the door thing, and so I I don't believe in 50-50, because for me, it's like, you asked me out, you wanted my time, you wanted my companion, and you wanted my attention. And how I'm like, how I'm contributing is by being presentable for you, by cleaning up, by showering, by looking good, by putting on makeup. And if he's tall, like putting on some high ass heels that may not be very comfortable. But hey, like, I'm doing it to look good for you, right? Like, so and the big thing is, like, you asked for my time. So yes, like, you should pay for dinner. But at the same time, I would never order the most expensive thing on the menu. Like, I've, I've gone on, like, I'm not super picky about where we go for dinner. Like, I've had guys take me to Cowboy Star and drop a couple hundred on the first dinner. Um, I've had guys take me to a more casual spot and we keep it under 100, because again, I don't really drink, or I don't drink on like first dates. Although I will say, at Cowboy Star, I did get a red wine with my steak, because yeah. But usually, like, I don't, like, if we go to sushi or something chill, like, um, I don't I don't get a drink. And if, we're just ordering plates, like, I usually just let him order appetizers. And then I'll order an entree after him, and I'm not going to get the most expensive entree, right? Because for me, it's already like he's already going to be courteous enough to pick me up, take me to dinner, and drop me off home. I'm not going to be rude by ordering the most important thing on the dinner on the menu. And at the end of the day, like it, it doesn't matter what I'm eating for dinner. Like that's not what's important. That's not why I'm out that night. I'm out that night to get to know this man sitting across from me. Like it's to spend some time with them, chit chat, this and that. Like the point of me going out that night is to get to know him. So no, I never order the most expensive thing on the menu. And just going back to the pottery thing, like it's it was cute because there was like different price points, right? Like you could get something fancy for like $50, or you could just get a little small trinket, like a little ring holder, and that's like $10. So his little house was like 32 and my bowl was like 28. So yeah, so it was perfect. It was like a couple dollars cheaper. And then we went for sushi, and actually sushi is one of my favorite first date go-tos because one, it's pretty healthy, and two, I can just let him order rolls for the table. Like I'm not a picky eater. I don't date when I'm on prep. So when I'm off season, like I'm on off season. So yeah, so I actually think sushi is one of my favorite first date go-tos because I can just let him order for the table and we can do it family style. And I like doing that because then one, I can see if he's like a generous man, right? Like, because by that time, I already know like what kind of job he has, approximately like what his income is, and based on his family background, like I can guess his socioeconomic status, right? And that's not to say like I only date men with money, but it's like I definitely want to be with someone who has a career, because I'm like dating in my 30s is so different than dating in my 20s. Like there's just so much more things that I'm aware of that are important that I didn't really think about in my 20s. So yes, most definitely, like I want a man with a career. And so that also, so with sushi, like that helps me gauge whether but generous or not. If he's just going to order one app and two rolls, like, I don't know, that feels a little cheap to me. And especially if like, and then I also see how they respond, right? Because if we go to sushi or even, oh, let me fix the camera. Um, okay, I had to fix the camera. So, if we do go to sushi or whatever, I'm like, oh, go ahead and order for the table. And he does, like, I can also get to see if he's going to ask, like, oh, is there anything else you like or anything specific you like? Or if he's just literally going to order and be like, okay, that's it. Like, I like a man who is considerate and who's going to be like, okay, like, I'll order for the table, but I'm going to give her a chance to see if there's anything else she wants. And like, to me, that just says like a lot. Like, these little things to me really add up because they're like, the everyday little mannerisms, and like that's important. It shows consideration, and these are obviously just like the small small little things I notice on dates and stuff, because that's just like, I don't know. To me that just makes like these little things make big differences. um yeah, and again, that, yeah, little things, little actions make big differences. And, I will say, I guess I do have like a number of dating stories because I do go on a lot of first dates. Like, honestly, probably more first dates than I would prefer to go on, but whatever. That's just, I guess, the the hand I've been dealt, and it's not like the worst thing, you know. At least like I'm thankful that there I'm thankful that there are, you know, this that there are men who are willing to pick me up and take me out for dinner. Um and you know, like I said, like overall it's been a positive experience, but I will say that it is very, very exhausting, right? Like essentially I'm having very similar conversations over and over and over again. Um, yeah, I'm learning something new every time, whether about this guy himself, his background, or even like his career. Um, but at the same time, it's still very exhausting. And and yeah, so I I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. I have notes too. I guess like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm thankful that like I said earlier, like I'm thankful that there are men who are so willing to get to know me, pick me up, take me for dinner, whatever. Um, but it is exhausting, and I think as of right now, I am going to take a step back from active dating. I do want to spend a little more time on this podcast, and there's a new business I like to get involved in. Um, and yeah, like dating it's time consuming, it's mentally exhausting. And um, so, you know, with that said, I think I'm gonna take a hinge break, as I call them, like just take a break from active dating. But if God puts a good man in front of me, like, hey, I'm not opposed. But like I said, I do want to take some time off from active dating, like get off the apps and kind of focus a little bit more on this podcast, as well as getting back on my diet, because it is pretty hard to go on multiple dates a week and still stick to my macros. Like it's pretty hard. So with that said, I will share two of my best dates, or my like favorite dates this year, as well as like two of the worst dates. And one of the worst days is Bumble, and that technically was last year, but it was like late last year. But I am going to include it because it was it was something. So I will actually start with the two worst dates and then end on a positive note with the two best dates. And one of them was from last year too, technically. So um, yeah, I guess we'll have one for 2023 and one for 2024. So the worst date um, was worst date 2023. Like I said, was that Bumble guy. So he was an engineer from the Midwest. I forget what state. So good family, good career, tall, pretty handsome. He legit was the only guy who refused to pick me up, because when I said, "Oh, I'm in University Heights," like, uh, I prefer to get picked up. He goes, "Oh yeah, for the first day, I just like to meet there." And so we met for sushi. He ordered for the table, and it was like less than $100 because we didn't drink. And usually when the bill gets there, I just sit there. I'm not gonna lie, I just sit there. And then once the guy puts down his card and then the waiter takes it away, I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much for dinner." But yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna do the fake reach. I don't have intentions of paying it, so I'm not gonna fucking do the fake reach. I'm just not. Once he pays it, I'm gonna be thankful. I'm appreciative, but I'm not gonna like do the fake like, "Oh, do you want to have it?" Like, no. So with this guy though, the bill came, and I think he was expecting me to have it, and we just kind of like kept talking, and it was like for a while. And then so I kind of like stopped talking. The waiter came and saw that there was still no card on there, and then he kind of just walked away. And then dead ass, my date for a less than $100 bill. And again, he's an engineer from a good family, so it's not like he has to send money back. He doesn't have any kids, so it's not like he had child support, none of that shit. He actually even owns an investment house in Texas. So financially, he's totally able to cover this less than $100 sushi bill. But he dead ass goes, "Oh, you don't mind having this, right?" And I literally laugh, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I've never had to have a first date bill before." I was like, he's like, "Oh, that's why I usually go for a coffee date. But you say you don't drink coffee in the afternoon." He's like, "It's just the first day, and I feel like it's just more fair to have it and stuff." So I literally just look at him and I pull out my card. He puts down his card, and again, he's still like trying to explain and talk and justify this. The guy comes and like takes the credit card. He's like down the middle, and then Bumble Boy was like, "Yeah, down the middle." And then we halved it. I signed it, and I literally just signed it, grabbed my card, and like walked out. Like I didn't say shit. And his bitch ass fucking unmatched or blocked me on Bumble. Um, because I was gonna go back and like I think you can rate your dates on Bumble. I think. I don't know. I was going to go back and like rate my experience, or I was actually going to get his first and last name and like warn other girls not to go on dates with him because that is wild. Like he legit asked me to have it and then was like, "Oh, you don't," no, he didn't even ask. He told me, "You don't mind having it, do you?" And when I said, "I don't know, I never had to," like, how is that not embarrassing? Like, I would be so embarrassed if I asked someone, if I was the man, I asked a girl out and she said she's never had to have it before. It's less than $100. And he's really gonna be like, "Oh, well, I just think it's more fair," like try to justify his side of it. But I mean, he was obviously embarrassed, right? Like he fucking unmatched me or some shit. Like, and I could already tell by like that date I wasn't going to see him again because once he heard that I was an attorney and I owned my own condo, he was just like, "Oh wow, wow, you have a lot going on for you." He goes, "Wow, like you're very successful." Like I could already like hear his balls shriveling back up into ovaries, like just like getting sucked back into his body. Um, yeah, so that was that was my worst day of 2023 and why I will never use Bumble again. Sorry. I tried to support a woman owned dating app, but just takes one to ruin it. And then the worst day I had of this year was actually, oh no, this one was also in 2023, but, so this was actually our second date. So our first date went well, like I didn't really feel too deep of a connection, but I felt like maybe he was a little nervous. That's just like the vibe I got. So then, I agreed to go out with him again. Cause he had a good job. He was handsome, good family. And I thought he was really smart. We had really good conversation. Again, like I didn't really feel like that much of an emotional connection because like, I don't know. But I was like, okay, I'm going to give it another try. So I agreed to go on a second date with him and it was fine. But what was not fine was when he dropped me off, he he dropped me off, he was on the car, so I turned to him and I go to give him a hug and he literally like forced a fucking makeout. Like he literally forced his face on my face. Like if rape included kissing, like that would have been like a mouth rape, like legit. I did not want to kiss him. I was not ready to kiss him. And the fact that he has to hold the back of my head to like, all right, let me just do a quick pause because I need to demonstrate this for you guys, to show you how fucking ridiculous it was. And just like a heads up for you fellas, don't ever fucking do this shit. So One sec. BRB. Okay. And I'm going to use Ling Ling here. Let's I'm going to use Ling Ling here as my volunteer. So I'm going to be the airport guy. Well, I shouldn't say that. I give them all nicknames. So also, I guess, yeah, I could just call it airport guy. So yeah, so all the dudes, I just give them nicknames based on like whatever. So I nicknamed this guy the airport guy. So we'll just call him that. So yeah, where was I going with this? Why this was all the other worst day I've had. Um, he, so it was after the date, right? And he was dropping me off, and I turned, so I'm in the passenger seat this way. I turned to give him a hug to say bye. And now with Ling Ling as my volunteer, right? So I'm gonna be the guy, and Ling Ling is me. Ling Ling, yeah. Ling Ling. And if you're just listening to this on Spotify, I'm using like a stuffed panda. That's me. So we're in the car. He's dropping me off. I turn to say goodbye. And I'm thinking, so I turn to say goodbye, lean in, and I'm very much like going this way for a hug to say hug as a hug goodbye. But literally, like, I was like, oh, bye. Like, literally, he just like grabbed my face and was like forcing my face on his face and sticking his tongue in my mouth. And I was so scared. I was so grossed out. And it's like, if you feel a girl pushing up against your chest, like, back off. Like, you should back off, fellas. Like, I call it the 80-20 rule. Like, come in 80%, and if she wants to make out with you, she'll go the other 20%. You don't need to hold like this. Like, you literally, hold on, the mic is kind of in the way. You don't need to hold her head to your face like this. Like, if you feel like you have to use any amount of force, then that's a problem. There should be zero amount of force. She should be grabbing onto you, and she should be leaning closer to the driver's side if she wanted to make out with you in your car. Okay. Trust me. I know I've had voluntary car makeouts too, but this was not one of them. And honestly, like, I didn't even fight back or like push him off. Like, I just tried to like slowly ease myself off. Like, I didn't even want to make any fast motion, like, oh my God, or like, ah, because like, honestly, I was just scared. Like, I didn't want to make a scene. Like, yeah, we were in front of like, well, actually, I never give my real addresses either. I give them my neighbor's address when they pick me up. So we were parked in front of my neighbor's house. So I guess like I could have just like ran out, but for me, it's like I'm in his car. So for me, it's always like a safety thing, and I never want him. I didn't want to like freak out and have him drive off and like do something worse. I kind of just wanted to like ease out and like get out of his car and never see him again. And obviously that's what I did. But what's crazy, like what's crazy is he didn't feel anything wrong with that. Like, he didn't feel like he forced himself on me, which he totally did, because he was literally, I can't even explain it to you. Like, he literally was like, he had his hand on the back of my head, like my entire neck. It was just like, and I was just so grossed out. And he really didn't think there was an issue with that, and still text me like, oh, hey, I hope you have a good day, blah, 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 blah. And I legit had to tell him like, hey, what you did in the car last night was not okay. I was not ready to kiss you. I'm uncomfortable. And like, I don't wish to see you again. Like, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Like, bro, like, what made you think that was voluntary? Like, what did I do to give you any inkling that I wanted to kiss you or I enjoyed that kiss? Because I was literally pushing you off of me. Like, you literally had to hold my head to the back of your neck, and that's not fucking okay. Like, it's just not. Like, you should never make a girl feel scared to be in your presence. Like, that's wild. And like, I don't know. That's just fucking wild. But anyways, now my panda got lipstick marks. But thank you, Lei, for being my volunteer. um, and like I said, I wanted to end things on a good note, on a positive note, because most of my dates has been um, pleasant experiences. Most of them are nice guys. Most of them are very respectful. And yeah, so I don't want that to jade me from dating or anybody else from dating. Like anything else in life, there's going to be good experiences and bad experiences, and dating is obviously no different. So I do want to make that a caveat and say that most of the dates have been good. Most guys are respectful. Most guys can somewhat read the room. But I would say like two of my favorite dates, or my best dates, I guess. One was from last year and one was from this year. And one of them, I don't really know if it counts because it was just like I was his date for an event, but it was for the Marine Corps ball. So the Marine Corps prom. And it was actually like kind of a blind date. It was just one of my friend in the military was like, hey, like, are you doing anything this day? Blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, that's the Marine Corps ball. Like, would you be like down to go with this guy? And he sent me a picture, and like, it was just going to be a date. It wasn't like, we were going to like, something was going to come out of it, I guess. So I was like, yeah, like, I'm totally down. I've never been to Marine Corps ball and stuff. And like, yeah, like, I don't feel weird. So, and then like this friend didn't get back to me for a while. So I was like, damn, did he show my picture to the guy? And the guy was like, nah, I don't want to take her, bro. So I was like, so I messaged my friend and I was like, yo, like, does your friend want to take me to prom or not? Like, I was feeling a little sad. I low key felt a little hurt being rejected by a guy I've never seen because I really wanted to go, to be honest. So he was like, oh, my friend said something. And then the date, the Marine guy, added me on IG, and then I actually messaged him first because I was like, hey, does this mean you're going to take me to prom? And he was like, haha, yeah. So, we made conversation and we talked a little bit, but it was honestly just so much fun. Like, at least I had so much fun. I hope he had fun. I tried to look my best in my $13 Ross dress, but that's okay. Nobody knew. Nobody knew it was $13 from Ross. Okay. I paired it with my Chanel bag. I looked very classy. Okay. I even curled my hair. Yeah, he was a young guy. He was only like 20, 25, I want to say. But he was so well spoken, so poised, so respectful. And guess who was outside of his car when he came and picked me up? Yes, Mr. 25-year-old Marine. And I really, really appreciated that. Like, he just looked so handsome in his like uniform. And he was already outside of his car. He opened my door, like it was just nice. And it was just a fun date, like, but I understand that it's like not common, or that's not like a stereotypical date or whatever. Um, but yeah, just wanted to give him a shout out. He's actually not even in San Diego anymore. He's like deployed somewhere, but yeah, I hope he's doing well. And thank you for taking me to Marine Corps prom. And the other best date I actually already mentioned was that pottery date, because one, it was just something different and it was really cute. And I left with a souvenir. My owl bowl is so cute. I should have brought my owl bowl when I went and got the panda. but yeah, my owl bowl is so cute. I got a souvenir. The conversation was good. And Liberty Station is honestly just like so cute too. Like we went for sushi, but there's so many other different like food options there. There's okay, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there are a lot of food options in Liberty Station. And it's like you can pick something according to your budget. And you don't even have to take her to get food. Like if you didn't enjoy her company during pottery, then just let it be done, right? Like you could take a picture of the receipt and you guys could each pick up your little pottery and not see each other again. But if the date went well, then you guys could go somewhere for food. And then if you guys keep talking and everything goes well, you guys could plan something again, like at Liberty Station or nearby when you guys go pick up your pottery. And again, like the pottery place, the stuff had like little pottery prices starting at 10 up until 50. So, um, just like the dinner thing, girls don't pick like the most expensive thing. Like it doesn't really matter what you paint or what you bring back. That's not the focus of the date. The focus of the date is get to know that man. So yeah, so you can also see like what type of girl she is. Like if you pick out something that's $20 and she picks out something that's 40, like like that's kind of rude. Like to me, that just feels rude. I'm already taking you out. I'm already picking you up. Like you really didn't pick something that's twice as expensive as mine. Like for a first date. Um, again, that's just me. So yeah, like my date picked out something that was 30 plus. I picked out my goal was 28. So for me, it's like if he picks out something that's like 20, try not to pick something that's more than 25. Obviously if something's like extra cute and it's only a couple dollar difference, it's only a couple dollar difference, but don't pick something that's significantly more than what he picked out. Um, and yeah, so conversation was really good with them. The sushi was good. Like he ordered for the table and then asked me if there was anything I wanted. And then we were actually going to go get Cold Stone at Liberty Station, but they closed. So that's why I was a little surprised when I didn't hear back from him when he went out of state for work. But it is what it is. I still had a good time. I still wish him well. And I don't think whether the date went well or not is dependent on whether something came out of it. You know what I mean? Like, I've had a lot of good first dates where I didn't see the guy again. Like, I didn't see pottery guy again, but that's okay. That was still a super fun date. Um, so, yeah. Um, close friends, I will keep you updated in our close friend circle. And yeah, let me know what you guys want to hear. Like, I'm an open book. So yeah, hope everybody have a good day.